Hi everyone. Pardon my cough, my little asthma breathing right now, and the heater vent that is right over us. It is a very cold day here on Long Island. We're expecting snow early tomorrow morning for at least the full day, so everything's cranking around here. So it's a perfect time for me to go through some of these layout guides with you then. So let's get started, shall we? This is a freebie. I want you to see how it's done. I always like to give a free class before people pay for one because, classes are classes and not everybody likes the same thing. And some people have a just different style and not everything works for everyone. So I always like to give it for free because I hate to go to a craft show, no matter how big or how small, pay for a class, and then I didn't get what I thought I was getting based on the picture, or it turned out like, oh, I feel like I wasted my money when I walk out. And I know I'm not the only one who's ever felt that way. So I always do my first class free. So this is going to be a layout cutting guide class. It's going to be a little lengthy, but it's going to be free. So I'm going to go through the steps of how I do the class so that you can see if it's for you. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get a kit together. You're going to take, and I did use these papers in a video that I posted, earlier today, but who knows when you're watching. So I did it about kitting my Stampin' Up! Paper packs, right? So these are two of them. And if you haven't watched that and you want to know more about it, just go on over to that video and take a look because the packs don't work for me the way that they're set up for a number of reasons, which I've explained there. So I'm going to use this. I need 2 different pattern papers that coordinate, at least in color. And they don't clash in pattern. And I need 2 coordinating solid cardstock colors to go with them. And then I need sheets, base sheets, that my layouts are going to go on. In this particular case, I don't need a third cardstock color. I just need those 4, 2 different patterns, 2 different cardstocks. So I have chosen this and this one, as I showed in the other video. This is from the I Am Really Sure, now retired, Stampin' Up! Gathering Together. It tells you the colors that coordinate. And for these 2 particular pieces, I have crushed curry and I have Cajun craze. Now, this doesn't really go with it. It doesn't have any of that on the leaf one, but it does here. So hopefully that's going to pull it out and pull it together. I also have 6 sheets of white for my base papers. So once you have those, you're ready to go, except you need a pencil. You'll notice that I don't have one here because I can't find one, but you need a pencil for this. I also, for one of the layouts, used a corner rounder, so you may want to grab that. I am going to make these photo ready, but I'm not going to put the photos on them, nor am I going to embellish them, because the point today is to show you how to use the cutting guide. I may finish them in another video at some other time, but today that's not the point. The point is to get the bones of your layout done so that you have used some of your stuff. When you go to the next crop, you can bring these with you. You can put your photos on, embellish away, whatever you want to do. But I do suggest a pencil. So this, I have decided, here's the cutting guide. So you see it has DSP, Designer Paper Series, right? 1, so the first pattern, which I've decided is this, sheets 1 and 2. The second pattern, DSP 2, that's this, sheets 1 and 2. The cardstock, I haven't really figured out which one is going first yet, is one of these. That's 1 and 2. And then the cardstock again, number 2. That's one of these. Excuse me, that cough is going to be dominant, unfortunately. So I think that I have a lot of orange in here, but I don't have enough of the yellow with that. I think I'm going to make the Cajun Craze, the orange one, my first cardstock. All right, so here's what I need to do. When I purchase a layout class or a cutting guide, this is what I'm getting. I'm getting the cutting guide. Sometimes there's a video that goes with it, all that stuff. Right now, we're just talking about the cutting guide. So I'm going to start with my first, in this case, DSP. It's patterned paper. So you're going to have your first patterned paper and your second patterned paper. And that's what you're going to substitute for what it says DSP. It's all a designer series paper, and that's what Stampin' Up! Calls it. That's all it is, pattern paper. So again, use your stash. I'm not encouraging you to buy more paper. I want you to use what you have, and I think this is a good way to do it. I'm using Stampin' Up! Paper because I have it here, and I haven't used it yet, and it's time to use it. So my first two, start with sheet 1. So you see I have 8.5 by 10. I'm sorry for the shadows. 1.5 by 12, 1.5 by 12. This number 1, number 3, number 3, that means it's layout 1, and then these are layout 3. There are 3 double page layouts in this cutting guide. So on the back, when I cut this, on the back of this, I'm going to put a light number 1 in pencil. So when I cut it, this is the side I'm using. This is what I put it on reverse. Do it lightly so the pencil mark doesn't come through. Don't use a pen, it'll bleed through. Doesn't matter the paper, it'll bleed through. This squiggle line here, that's extra paper. Do whatever it is that you do with scraps. Then you're gonna go here, and again, this should all be squiggled out, but it isn't. 8.5 by 10. Number 1, this is all extra. Then you move on to number 2. So let's start with DSP number 1, shall we? It says, eight and a half by 10. So the way I have it here on the guide, move down a little bit, is I have the 8 going across and the 10 going down. It really doesn't matter. It's just the way I did it. So I'm going to cut it to 8. I'm going to save this because that's the other part. I'm going to cut this to 10. If I had a pencil, I would put a number 1 on the back of this because it's going to be like a jigsaw puzzle later. So that's that. Now I have to cut to 1.5 by 12. Okay, 1.5. 1.5. And that's for layout 3. I'm actually just making piles, but again, you should definitely write it in pencil. And then I always have either the cellophane that my paper pack came in or one of those XXL, this is again number 3, Ziploc bags, or that, 13 by 13 paper fits in, and I stick it in there. That way it's out of the way. I know that it's scrap. Okay, so now DSP number 2. As I showed you before, it says 8.5 by 10. 8.5, and I cut it to 8. Oh no. I cut it to 8. That's going to screw up the entire layout. But you know what? These things happen, right? So I'm just going to have to adjust. This is now going to be to 8. See, this is why I can't talk and craft. And this is going to be to 10. Now it is going to throw off the layout that I had planned because you're not really going to see as much of it on the one side. But you know what? It is what it is. We'll fix it as we go. And then this is scrap. So I'm going to throw that over there. And now I am on to my second one. Okay, so DSP number 2. And I'm going to post this cutting guide in the group. So don't worry if you can't see it or whatnot. So this is going to be, move the glue out of the way. This, I'm going to do 3.5 by 12, but those are bigger. So I'm going to do 1.5. So Hot Mess Express over here. It's because I haven't scrap booked in a while. All right, so this is going to be 1.5. So that's going to be 10.5. Anybody else always cut crooked with a trimmer? Like it never fails for me. All right, so that's 1.5. and 9. One and a half. Now they're by 10. So by 10. The cutting is by far the longest part of the class. This is layout number 1 by 10. May have to adjust that because I did it wrong. Hopefully you did it right when you cut it. Okay, we have number 1. Then we have 4. Now I do have a sheet of paper that gives me directions on it that you would also get. So I just need that because I need to know how big those are. DSP 2. Okay, so now I need 4 1/2 inch. So we're at 9. We're gonna go down to 8.5. And these are all going to, looks like layout number 2. 8.5. 8. Oop, that's 7 1/4. That would have been bad. 7.5. 7. So I have 4 1/2 inch by 12, and that's going to layout number 2. And then I have 2 3.5 by 12, which should be the rest of this paper. I like that, you know, when I did it, same size, perfect. And these are going to layout number 3. I like that, you know, when I buy paper, I buy it because I like it, right? That's why we buy the paper. So I really appreciate when I can get paper that you know, I can use it and I can see it more. It's not just like one layout. All right, so now we have 6 by 12 twice. Oh, I think I wanted this paper the other way. I think I wanted the stuff where that is. Oh well, okay. And that's number 2. All right, cardstock. I think there's a little screw up in here somewhere. Yeah, I think these are screwed up, so we may have to make some adjustments, which is why you always save your scraps. Okay, so cardstock number 1. We have 9. By 10.5. The extra for that is scrap. But I kind of do like when I make mistakes on camera. So this is number 1, because it shows you that sometimes I don't know what I'm doing either. And then we've got 2. That looks like 1/2 and 1/2. Yep. So this is going to be 1/2. I know the bottom of my thing isn't on the screen, sorry. One half is going to number 3. 1/2 is going to number 3. I've had quite a couple of days here, so I would not be at all surprised if I made some mistakes. But those things happen, right? So now my second sheet, we're doing 3.5. The rest of this, scrap. By 10. And again, by scrap, I mean we're just not using it in the layout itself. You can use it for a title. You can use it for embellishments. You can use it for photo mats, whatever. This is scrap. This goes to number 1. Okay, and then we have number 2. Which is just 2 1 by 12 strips. So I only needed 1 sheet of this time. And that's going to number 1. 10. And it's going to number 1. And this is scrap. Well, let's see how we did. I have a feeling I might have to cut something else. And that's not the layout guy's fault. That's because I screwed something up. All right. So here we have our first 2 bases. And I always put my papers down first. I'm sure you do as well. I don't use one of those magnetic things because it's just something else to take up space in my room. I think they're great. You know, it's just something else to take up space. So this is the one that I cut wrong. So I'm just going to kind of lay them out here. I'm going to put this here, I think. Is that going to go at the bottom? I think I'm going to put this here. Does that extend? It doesn't. Oh, okay. Well, it might be all right after all. And I think kind of that's it. All right, so let me zoom out a little bit so you can see that. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit and let's put this puppy together. I like these close to my heart sheets. I know they don't exist anymore, and whatever. But I like them because this is the one with corner rounder. I never do the corner rounding until I have it in front of me because I forever corner round the wrong side. I'm gonna corner round this. Just a little one. And this. So as I was saying, I like these grid sheets because they are 13 by 12. So you can really, measure. And the Stampin' Up! Ones, I mean, while they're great for cards, they're not big enough for a scrapbook page. So I always use glue. You use whatever adhesive you like. And yes, some glues will show through the paper depending on the company and the brand and the quality of the paper, the thickness, thinness of the paper. So be mindful of that. Do a test page, leave it overnight before you decide to use a glue. Yes, meow, I know. So I'm going to put this, I want to make sure that I have enough space because I want some down here. So that's going to be at the 1 inch. And then I have this at 1 inch. That'd be about 3. So I think I'm going to put this at about 3/4 down. And there we go. And then I'm going to put this. There are companies out there, though. I think they just call themselves We Are Makers now. The memory keepers, We Are Memory Keepers. So the We Are Makers, I think they changed too. They have really big grid paper. It might be a little too big, in fact. But if you're looking for grid paper for scrapbooking to line everything up, I get it crooked anyway. But if you like it to line things up, take a look at Michael's, grab a coupon. I don't know if they sell it in store. Last time I bought it, they sold it in store. So just, take a look if you like that. Otherwise, like I said, if you do cards or, you don't need this like me, then the Stampin' Up! One is great. Bonus for my cat, she gets an oversized box that she likes because it's longer. All right, so we have this. And we have this, which I think is just going to be too big. So let's do this. Let's do this side. So we started this. Move that up. No, that's back. Sorry, new phone. So we started this at 3/4 up. So you see here, right? 3/4. Oh, you can't see that. All right, so 3/4, 3/4. So now I know I don't have to try to piece it together. I mean, I can, and it will, but I also know that this should match up at 3/4. Now with me, inevitably it won't. So I'm gonna have this, this, and this, and now I know I'm gonna put my corner rounder here and here. Now I'm gonna start the process all over again. So again, I'm gonna put this down here. I always use D-ring albums, so if it's not exact, it's okay. It's not like a postbound where I'm gonna see it and it's gonna bother me. It's a D-ring, they're separated enough, close enough, we're good, move on. Okay, so at 3/4, you know, and hopefully it stays straight and not crooked. I am the queen of crooked though, so. Put this here. See that one underneath. I also like glue because it gives me a little time to fix things. I used to use way back in the day the Glue Glider Plus. Remember those? Because that big ATV whatever gun, just way too big. Forget it. And then remember, nobody could ever refill it. It took forever to refill. You had to make a friend at the crop to get it refilled back when. Forget it. I just use glue now. Because let's face it, when all is said and done and I die, people are going to throw these out. I know that's terrible. I know, right? We don't like to think that, but I mean, I'd like to think they'd last forever, but I'm a realist at this point. All right, so here we have our 2. Now, I am going to take this sheet that I did, and I think I'm just going to corner around it just to give it a little bit of interest here. Now this is where I'm going to put my photos, and they're probably going to be about 3 by 3. Okay, so we're not doing that yet, remember, like I said. And then we have this piece, which is definitely too big. Way too big. So let's grab the trimmer. We are going to do some very basic, and you know, if you're using glue, you may have to put some more in here and there. I'm just doing this real quick, like as a sample. So that was, we're gonna do, let's see, are they 4 by 6? We can do 4 by 6. So 8, I don't know if we want to do that much. Let's see. All right, so, yeah. Well, that's a little bit better. I'm gonna corner around this. So I cut this down to, you see that there? 6 1/4 across by 8 1/4 high. And then I'll put 2, maybe 4 by 6 pictures on here. And I'm gonna put this right on the edge. And it is going to be a little taller than my pattern paper, but again, I am okay with that. Now you can see, I hope, let me turn this light here. Can you see that buckling start with this glue? So again, like I said, these are samples for me. So I'm okay with that happening. But if these are your real things, be sure that you use the adhesive that you like and that you know will be fine with your paper. Oops, see, I just spilled some out. Okay, so there we go. layout number 1 from the cutting guide, except we have to change the cutting guide before we make it live, which is no big deal. Okay, so that's 1. 2. But that's also always why I do the cutting guide sheets, because I think this one's not so right too. I always do the samples before I release the cutting guide, because inevitably I've made a mistake somewhere or I got distracted. And in some cases you can just flip the paper over and it's coordinated, but not in this particular case. Okay, so this time we're going to do nice and easy. We're doing straight across. And then we have borders, except our borders are the same paper. So that's not good. So we're going to grab some of our extra, some of our scrap. We're going to bring our trimmer back. And we're going to do this. We're going to do 4 more. One half by 12. Now this one is a nice, that's weird. All right, so now I'm not cutting right either. This one is a nice, simple, basic layout. All right, there we go. Kind of a tried and true layout. So we're just gonna go like that. That's it on all 4 sides. Nice and basic. This one is really all about where you place your papers. Whether you want it in the middle, up top, down below, makes no difference. Just because I have it in the middle doesn't mean you have to. They're your layouts. You do it the way you want. Maybe that'll work a little bit better. Okay, so I am going to put this at the 3 because I do want it in the middle. I'm going to line it up on the other side. And then I'm going to take these. One of these is smaller than the other. All right, not going to worry about it. I'm actually going to put the glue here, directly on the layout, because that's going to be way easier than trying to get it on this tiny piece. All right, so all I've done is substitute the paper, which again, I will have by the time the cutting guide is released. I will have changed that on the cutting guide. You know, also, you see I'm never straight. But here's the other thing, right? I could just turn this around. You know, that would be the smart thing to do, right? Okay, push that on down. Liquid adhesive gives me that time to adjust. Okay. Same thing over here. All right, we're going to put a paper here. And I'm going to put it at the 3. So it should end up at the 9. It's okay that there's glue seeping out because 1, it's clear, and 2, I need it there anyway. And I'm really not about perfection on these layouts, on any layout really. I would like to be, I mean, I strive for it, but it's just, it never happens. So at some point you have to cut your losses and just, you know, get it done. And done is better than not done because you're afraid of not doing it well, or that it won't look perfect, or it's not magazine ready. Don't worry about it. Get it done. Do it. Have fun. That's the point. For whatever your reason for scrapbooking, do it. All right, my hands are covered in glue. So now we have this. Now, I can put pictures up here. I'm obviously going to use photo mats on this. It leaves me room for a big title, for big embellishments. So it's got lots of potential. So that's layout number 2. And then we're going to move on to layout number 3. Now, in a workshop, you know, depending on how long you want to do. I mean, we're at 30 minutes and we're putting them together and we've cut, but you know, I've cut and I don't really have people around me. I'm not chattering. I mean, I am going to take a little sip of my Diet Coke, but it's not like I'm snacking or getting up to snack or running to the ladies' room. So you build all that into the time you think it will take you, or if you're running a class, how long that will take you. I would say that while this is pretty much a beginner class, it isn't really for people who don't know how to use trimmers. That I would say for sure. All right, so let's go with layout number 3 then. Layout number 3, again, an old tried and true. Is this piece bigger? No, I know it's not because I cut it the same. Okay, so we have that and that and that. And this is easy. So again, I'm going to have pictures up here, down here, room for a big title, pictures over here, because I don't use just 4x6. Now, for some of you, these layouts are too simple. You know, it's not your style. It's not what you do. You like it more complicated. And that's perfectly fine. But for those of you who are new, or those of you who are just trying to get some pages done, or those of you who just, you know, need some ideas, here you go. Okay, so that, I don't have to measure anything because this I can put on here. I don't have to measure anything because I'm just butting it against the bottom and then one up against the next. And this, because it's skinny, and that'll dry. I'm not going to worry. I'm also going to have pictures over it and that kind of thing. All right, so we're going to take the other sheet. We're going to do the same exact thing. Probably should put on some music in the background, but I thought it might compete with me talking. And I don't really like to talk in videos, but this is more of an instructional video, so you know, you have to. All right. And there we go. And here we have them side by side. All right, so we have our 1, we have our 2, we have our 3, and again, you can see, I hope, can you see I know there's a shadow for the phone, but let me see if I can. Can you see? Oh, yeah, you can see it now. See the paper buckling? So again, always be careful with that. 3. So I'll finish them up and come back and show you how I did it a different day. But for now, these are the layouts. And I hope that you make them. And if you do, please be sure that you post them in the Facebook group, because then we can all ooh and ah over your creations. So as soon as I get that cutting guide fixed, I will post it. And I hope to see you soon. I hope that this jump started your creativity and that you'll get to making more scrapbook pages. Bye, everyone.